Hello and welcome to the Digitally Overwhelmed podcast. My name is Cynthia Pacheco and I'm on a mission to help online businesses step out of digital overwhelm and step into their creative potential. This podcast is all about helping women get more in tune with the analytics and SEO side of their business without the digital burnout. Get more information about the podcast at digimorphs.com. Hello friends, how's it going? Welcome to the Digitally Overwhelmed podcast. My name is Cynthia, your host, and this is episode number 84. Getting close to the 100. I don't know what I'm going to do, but something is going to be happening at the 100th episode. So last week was my birthday, and it was awesome. Had so much fun. And I always find it strange that my birthday is in springtime here in Argentina, but that it is, so I'm not complaining. So today I have a very special solo episode for you. I'm going to be talking about doing SEO on Squarespace. Yay! So maybe you have a Squarespace site and you love it because you can go in and change things around. Your team loves it. You just easily update content and it just happens. But there is the SEO component, which maybe you've been avoiding a little. You have a web developer, but they don't really want to do anything with SEO. So this is a little episode where you can share with your team or with your VA or someone technical to go through and update a couple easy places to add SEO and make sure that your site is, doing what it can to attract the right people. So I'm sure you know that just because you build a website, it doesn't mean that your ideal client will find it. And it is really your job to make sure that your marketing and your SEO is driving as much traffic as possible to your site, because it is the best place to showcase your work, your products. It is where people can get to know you better. And it's really your house. I always think of a website as your house. You can paint it the color you want. You can decorate it how you want, because you own that house. It's a little bit different than social media or any type of marketing, because you really control, right, the experience. So that's pretty powerful. And so I recommend for this episode to open up Squarespace and pause when I, give certain tips, or I'm going to run through specific parts of Squarespace that you can actually update, and I'm going to explain them. And so feel free to pause and start it over, and that sort of thing. So before we actually get into this, I just want to remind you that I do have my own SEO services, and I'm going to be talking about them later on. But I really want SEO to become one of those things that becomes natural, just something that you're doing, you feel good about that you're doing. And it's kind of your secret weapon, right? Because if you can organically attract people to your site that already need what you have to offer, right? So that's the beauty of search. You're not really catching someone at a weird time. They're literally searching for what you have on your site. So that's the benefit, or the thing that it has over social. In social, we're at the mercy of the algorithm. And yes, if someone's following us, we can, we're pretty sure that they want to hear what we have to say. But with search, we know exactly what they're searching for, and they're finding us exactly at the right time. So timing is on our side when it comes to search, and that's kind of exciting. So if you want to learn more about that and how I can help you, stick around to the end, and I will give you all the details. All right, so let's jump right in. So you are sitting in front, or standing, if you have a standing desk, in front of your beautiful Squarespace site. So the first place that I recommend getting into is in the settings area. So you're going to go to your main left side menu, Squarespace options, and the second last option should be settings. You click there, and if you scroll down under the website section, the fifth option is, lo and behold, SEO. Hey, maybe you've never seen that, or maybe you've seen that and you've been avoiding it. So just click into there. And so here you're going to see a couple things, and I'm going to walk through them. So the first thing there, it says search engine description. So this is basically the little blurb that comes up for your site as a whole. So this is if someone searches your brand or your name, they're going to get the main homepage, and this is the description. So this is a great first place to add a description about your services, about your product, or about your mission. There Squarespace recommends 1 to 2 short sentences to describe your website. So this can actually be between 160 and 300 characters, and you can count that. But that is the text that you will see in the description. So should you add keywords here? Absolutely. If you can add some just in a natural, organic way, which is how I recommend to all my clients, always adding keywords. It should never feel robotic or spammy. It should literally, the keyword should inspire you to write about it. And that's how it should work. So that's the first thing. Then if you scroll down, you see page title format, homepage title format, collection item title. So I don't recommend changing these settings, but basically this is how your title formats will come up. And if you just scroll over the little question mark, it will give you other options if you want to change them around. But like I said, I don't really recommend changing that. Okay, so the next section that we're going to look at is again under the settings, right under the SEO is blogging. So you're going to click into that. And here what you have is the option for your blogging page. So this should be set at your title. So percentage symbol T, which is title. So I don't recommend using any date formats here, because again, if you've got a great keyword in the title, we want it as close as possible to the top of the URL. And then if you scroll down, you're going to see 2 options that I recommend having on. One of them is the simple linking option, or simple liking, sorry, and then the AMP pages, which basically means that when Squarespace detects that your site is being viewed on a mobile phone, it will change the site's format so that it's optimized for mobile. So highly recommend having that on, and just easy as clicking it on. That's the cool thing about Squarespace. Some of these things are just automatically set up. The next section, again, if we go out right under blogging, is security and SSL. And this is one that a lot of people forget or don't even know about, and that's why I'm here. So security preferences should be on secure, and the HSTS secure should also be turned on. So this is a really crucial part of SEO that a lot of people don't know about. If your site is not secure, it just doesn't look like a safe site. So Google just likes sites that are secure, HTTPS. And the cool thing with Squarespace is you don't need to worry about a certificate, buying a certificate and all that. You just need to literally turn this on and it's done, and it's awesome. So that's the benefit of Squarespace. And if you haven't guessed already, I have a Squarespace site. I just think it makes some of these things really easy, and just literally, you just do it. It's off your mind. That's it. Okay, so now the settings areas is perfect. We have it where we want it. And now we're going to move on to some pages. So you're going to go back to the main site navigation and click on pages. And I want you to select one page to work on. So you're going to click into the configuration dial. We're going to look at some different areas. So obviously, editing any sort of content on a specific page, the first step to this process is actually uncovering keywords. So this is something that I do in my own services, but just a quick tip, if you want to start doing that and you want to start playing around with keywords, one way to discover some keywords is to type in potential keywords into your any Google browser. And then scroll down to the bottom, and there will be suggested keywords. So you're going to see there some initial keywords that Google is seeing that are trending that could be good options for you to use. So there's a lot more that goes into keyword research than that. But if you want to get started and you want to look at some keywords, you can do that and research and look at some different options there. Okay, so once you've got your little page configuration, so this should look like page, and then on the left it says basic, media, advanced. The first thing you're going to see is navigation title. So here is literally what, if your page is a main site page, this is what you see in the navigation title, versus page title, that is what comes up when the page loads. So, and it also comes up in the browser at the top. So these in general can be the exact same, but they can also be different. So if you want something, for aesthetic purposes, if you want something to look cleaner in the navigational title, you could make the navigational title a little bit simpler in terms of keywords, versus the page title, maybe you're willing to just go a little bit more. I know for some of my pages, I don't actually even display the page title. It still is something that Google can see, and it's definitely something that comes up in the search results. So the page title could be a great place to put in additional keywords, right? And with all this, especially with the titles, I do recommend having the keywords be closer to the left side, so at the beginning of the title as much as possible. That's like the best practice. Okay, so if we scroll down, we have description. So this is a great place, again, kind of like the site description we just looked at. This is a great place to add keywords. You never want to just stuff keywords and have like lists of keywords. You always, specifically descriptions, you want full sentence paragraphs where you're talking about this page, what's going on in this page. Maybe, if it's an about page or a service page, you can include your branding name, your name. Those are things that people might be searching, but you might also include your industry. So for me, again, on my about page and my services pages, I have SEO for creatives, that sort of thing, versus blog posts that are more specific to whatever I'm talking about on that blog post. And then keep scrolling down, you have the URL. So a word of warning, I guess, with URLs, if you have an existing URL, you do not want to change it. So especially for main site sections, I do not recommend changing URLs. And that is because you will start having a lot of 404 errors. Basically, when you change a URL, Google sees that as a brand new page, and they don't understand that your previous page has changed. So do not change your URL unless you have a specific migration strategy. And if you are migrating URLs, and this is like a big deal that you want to do across your whole site, reach out, we can talk about it, and I can give you some best practices of how to do it properly. But this is a big thing that I see a lot of people doing. They're just like adding URLs to keywords. Don't do that. Now, if you have a brand new spanking page, of course, add keywords. Of course, do that intentionally. But with existing URLs, just keep them as is. Don't worry about them. There's other places you can add keywords. Okay, so those are 4 areas that you can kind of play around with in the settings section. So if you actually go to the page itself, there are places you can also add keywords. So one obvious place is the body of the content. So it's usually recommended within the first 100 words to add some keywords. That's kind of the best place to add them, but you can add them throughout the text. Again, never sound spammy or repetitive. You can change up different combination of keywords, and you can play around and use your Search Console, which is a great tool. You should have it set up. I'm not going to go through that in this episode, but if you don't have that set up, that's also a great place to look at keywords. So I'm just going to click into one of my text boxes here. So if you look at any piece of text, usually in Squarespace, it says like normal for body. And then you've got headings, right? So you have heading 2, heading 1, heading 3. So I recommend using heading 1 and 2 as much as possible. Now, if your headings are like crazy big or they just don't look good in terms of, styling, don't worry about it. What you can do is you can use heading 1, but then go to your style section design section of your Squarespace page and change your heading style. So the thing is, usually Google looks at heading 1 and heading 2. Sometimes it looks at heading 3. So the recommendation is to use consistently heading 1 and heading 2 as another place to put keywords. So again, if you're just not happy about the style, you have to use the design area to change the style and make the page look cohesive from a styling point of view. All right, so one last place I want to point out in terms of adding keywords and just, starting to really SEO, use SEO as a tool, a marketing tool, is images. So image searches are becoming very popular. It's just something that's happening more and more, and we can add keywords to images. So I'm not literally saying adding a keyword in the image, but there are ways in the back end of Squarespace to add keywords. So if you click into any image, you will get an option that says edit. And so there you've got the image itself under content, and then you have design. So the first place that you can add a keyword is the file name. So if you upload an image, usually the original file name will be there, but I recommend adding a keyword here. So a lot of people ask me, okay, but it's an image, what are people going to be searching? And this kind of depends what is in the image. So if it's an image of you or something in your brand, like a logo or your office, you could use keywords around your brand. So I would use a keyword like Digimore for Cynthia Pacheco. Those are keywords that people search and I'm ranked on, right? So those are branded searches. Now, if you have a product, then it would be keywords more around that product. Depending on what it is, people might be searching that. And you can also add for certain services. So I have some images of me in front of a computer with some Google Analytics graphs, and I could put there potentially Google Analytics services. So there are a lot of easy ways to add those keywords, and one of them for images is under file name. The other place is under design. So if you click on over to design, you will see here that it says caption below. And so there you can add a keyword, and then you could put do not display caption. So that's another place where you can add a keyword, but you don't necessarily need to show it off. You can hide it and it'll still be there. Or I should say Google will still see it, which is what we want, right? So that's another place under the caption in Squarespace where you can add keywords. So yeah, I've given you quite a few places, and I'm sorry if I've gone a little fast. I just really wanted to give you as much as you can impact in an easy way. And just a little bonus tip, because I love bonuses. So we all know what a 404 page is, right? So a 404 page is a page that we get sent to when the page, the URL, doesn't exist anymore. So this happens when we change websites or when we move around pages. Like I said before, you have to be careful when doing that. Basically, the site has this special page that says, hey, this page doesn't exist. You need to find another page. So the cool thing in Squarespace is you can actually edit this page. And this is something I highly recommend doing, because this page is such a crucial page, and it can literally change how your users interact with your site. So we all have 404 pages. It's something we need to keep an eye on. Sometimes things get lost, our business change, or we change email providers, and we have 404 pages. We have pages that don't exist anymore. So in order to edit the actual 404 design, you can add other links in there to then make sure that those visits don't get lost, because it's really annoying to have a 404 page that says, sorry, this page doesn't exist, end of story. It's kind of like saying to the user, I don't really care about your visit, just go away. That's not the experience we want to give people visiting our site. So you can edit this in Squarespace by going to settings again, and then you go to advanced under website, and then the first option is 404 page not found. So there you can click in and you're going to see how your current page looks at right now. And so most of them will say just like system default, and it will be this kind of page. Now the system default page does have, you can return to our home page by clicking here, which is okay. And in most cases you still have a navigation, but I do recommend, taking literally 5 minutes and editing this page. So how do you do that? So now you have in the settings area, but what you need to do is go back to the pages and create a 404 page. So you go to your pages, you create a new page, and you name it 404. You design it, you add some customized copy, maybe you have an image in there, maybe some people like to do something funny. They might be like, oops, you're lost, or like, oops, where are you going? Something, depending on what your branding is, you can change the copy on that page, and then add some more relevant links, right? So maybe you could add the top 5 blog posts to your site, or maybe you could add just like a more specific page that someone might be looking for, right? So you could add, this is a link to go back to my home page, or this is a page to go back to my about page or my services page. So just giving just a more homey feel to that page is a really easy way to capture visits that might be lost otherwise, and it definitely helps your SEO, right? So one of the things that Google looks at when analyzing our site search data is the linger time, right? So that's the time that people spend on our site. Inside of Google Analytics, that's called average session duration. And we want to make that as long as possible, because if Google sees that people are not only clicking on our site and then spending a lot more time, that's a sign that our site has useful content, and that helps boost our ranking. So definitely just change that. It's like an easy thing to do that can improve your ranking. All right, so I hope that's been helpful. And I know that some of you are just really wanting to get into SEO, and you're just really not sure where to start, right? So I've given you some tips here, but you want to go beyond that, right? So you want to start attracting the right people to your site. You have the content, right? So the biggest myth with SEO, which I covered in the first episode of this season, is that you need to pump out like content every week to do SEO, and that's not the case. So if you've been around for a while and you have enough content on your site, the case might be that you actually can recycle and reuse and optimize your current content, make it work for you before having to create new content. And just infusing some simple SEO strategies into your current content can change how you're attracting people to your site. So I want to help you, I want to support you, and I want this SEO journey to be fun, to not feel like the stressful, crazy thing that you keep putting off and that just never works and you're not sure if it's going to be useful to you. So I have some SEO retainers where I not only, focus on keywords, but we make sure that the right people are finding your site and hiring you, right? So at the end of the day, traffic is one metric, but conversion is the best metric, right? So we want to make sure that you're actually getting a return on these visits, that people are not only just hanging out, but doing what you want them to do on the site. So for some of you, that might be getting on your newsletter. For others, it might be literally purchasing something. And for others, it might be an opt-in, right? So downloading something. So all of these things are kind of the focus of SEO. And there's a couple things that we do inside the retainer. So the first thing that we do is we make sure that your content strategy is aligned with real keywords that your ideal clients are already using. So like I said, this doesn't mean that we're creating new content, although if you want to create new content, we can do that. But I know many of you are kind of burnt out of a lot of new content, and maybe you're focusing more on Instagram or another social media platform. So instead, what I like to focus on are landing pages, opt-in pages, and blog posts that are already getting tons of traffic. So I like to call this low-hanging fruit, right? So what is already just really working for you, and what can we just like take to the next level? So we identify here the keywords that do this for you, and then we optimize that page so that it's working to the best of its ability to start clients down the funnel that you want them to go, right? So we have all these old pages, but they might not be doing the best job. You might be getting a lot of bounces and lost opportunities, right? So if someone's searching something, they land on your site, that's a great opportunity. They clicked on you. They want to know more about you, your site, your content. Why lose that opportunity? Make it the best it can be. Give them all the value you can, and then, bring them into your community. The other thing we work on is to make sure your site is 100% SEO friendly on the technical side. So again, a lot of people are really obsessed with keywords, and I get it. Keywords are awesome. They're like little nuggets of gold in terms of understanding what are people searching. But if your site is just, just full of technical problems and errors and 404 errors and that sort of thing, it's going to be really hard for Google to see it as a site of value. And that's something that needs to be addressed first before getting into keywords. So one of the first things we do inside of an SEO retainer is do an SEO audit. And the cool thing is that you don't need to worry about it too much, because I work directly with your web developer or your VA, whoever you have technically on your side. I talk to them and I help them just figure it out. Now, of course, you can be part of that process if you want to, but if you're not technical, I don't want you to get too bogged down by it. It's literally something that we start at the beginning, and it's kind of an ongoing conversation, because I know that some technical changes can take more time. And I'm okay with that, right? So it's kind of like, let's get some awareness around this, and then we have a plan, and then we're going to slowly work on it. That's why I love that my retainers are several months. So the minimum is 3 months, the maximum is 6 months, and it's just a great way to have time to work on this stuff and get into it, right? Then the other thing that we do is really validate your marketing plan and make sure that it's generating as much quality traffic as you can. So many people forget to link back to their site, or they're just not sure how to guest post or pitch a guest post or pitch a podcast. So these are things we need to be doing ongoing. And sometimes again, social media is great. Absolutely recommend it. And that's part of the marketing plan. But we need to make sure that all this is benefiting your site. So again, where are we generating those links from? How are we getting other people to talk about us in a way that feels natural? And I help you put together a plan that really, really takes us to the next level. We're making sure that you're getting as many backlinks as possible. That again help with your SEO and the traffic coming in and the right traffic coming in, right? So if we pinpoint the right type of sites to link back to our site, it can just change how we're bringing in other audiences from other sites. Pretty cool, huh? So all of this is without the overwhelm, without the stress. You're just doing it over a couple months, and we're kind of taking it at your own pace, right? So you're not worrying about everything at once. I have a special order of doing things, and I am all about intuitive work, right? So I'm always making sure that my clients feel good about what they're doing. If they don't like a keyword, or if they don't like one of the strategies we're using, we find another one that works better for them. And I really like to over communicate as well. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I have my own podcast. One of the benefits that my clients get from working with me, on top of having one-on-one support, they get access to a whole library of videos that they can watch in their own time and learn about SEO at their own pace, and also share with their team, right? So you need to make sure that your whole team is on board, that you're all understanding these best practices. So every time someone creates a page on your site, they know how to make it SEO friendly from the beginning. So if you're interested in the possibility of working together, this is what you need to do. You need to go to my site, digimorphs.com, and click on the contact page. There you're going to fill out your details and send them to me. And then the next step is I'm going to be sending you a little intro packet. So this is a PDF document where I detail my work, my style, and it's kind of the first step to see if we're a good fit. So I want to make sure that I can help you fully, and so you get like a little bit of insight into my work. All right, well, I hope that you enjoyed this Squarespace SEO mini tutorial. I hope that was helpful, and I will catch you next time on the Digitally Overwhelmed podcast. Have a great week. Hey, Cynthia here. First of all, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I make these episodes with a lot of love and effort, so there are a couple ways you can support the show. First, leaving a rating and review is amazing because it helps other people like you find the podcast. So if you have an iPhone, you can hop on over to the podcast app, tap the album art for my podcast, Digitally Overwhelmed, tap the reviews tab, and then there you can write a little review. So if you don't have an iPhone like me, you have to go to the iTunes store through your computer and find the podcast and leave me a review there. Otherwise, just leave me a review through whatever podcasting platform you're listening to the podcast on. This is super awesome. Thank you so much. Also, if you found the information in this episode helpful, feel free to share it with someone you think would benefit it. You can do this either just telling them, or you can also share with them the link digimorphs.com/podcast, and there you can find all the episodes. You can listen to them online as well. And lastly, if you do want more information about the podcast, about me, about Digimorphs, get full show notes, maybe a link that someone mentioned, head on over to digimorphs.com/podcast. You can search for this episode and previous episodes and get all the info you want. Thank you again so much for listening, and see you next week.